I'm going to do one more render actually. I want to put one by the fountain. See how nice that looks. I'm going to turn it this way. Bring it down to the fountain. Bring it back a bit. Down again. Tilt the camera upwards. It's going to be a hard shot to pull off. The fountain isn't very tall. Won't be able to see any water. Okay, let's go ahead and render that. And so I will go ahead and stop the video for now and give you and myself a little break to move on to the next part of texturing a building. You can kind of see in that top window there, and it's interesting. You can kind of see the hole in the roof. Yeah. Something funky's going on these windows, and I think I know what. Oh, never mind, that's just the shadow. I have these little things sticking out on the side. I liked the corner buildings that I was seeing in some reference images I was looking at. These trees look better over here now. For as simple as these stalls were, I think I really like how they came out. I might change the shading here on the fountain. So yes, you can see compared to everything else here, these back walls and this tower that I can't even draw a circle because of the lag. So these two things are the things that are the absolute most plain looking. So I'm hoping to give this a kind of a light stone texture, maybe almost a yellowish. Kind of hard to say. And back here I'm thinking a dark gray. And I think that'll be pretty nice. So thank you for watching my tutorials again, and see you in the next part. Hello and welcome back to Collin's massive Blender tutorial. Speaking of that name, actually I'll get to that in a minute. So today, or as you can see, 28 minutes from where I last left off, I feel like I am ready to begin texturing some of these buildings. Now, I make texturing sound like it is this horrible thing that should be avoided at all costs and is just such a difficult thing to work through. Texturing is not something that is revered amongst the 3D world. It's not something that people cringe at the sight of or scream and run away from when it comes time to texturing something. In fact, it is quite the opposite. There are people who texturing is one of their favorite things to do, and texturing is commonly something that is understood by people. Just unfortunately, I'm not one of those people. Many people can do texturing, and people don't find any problem with it at all whatsoever. Even if you do look at Peter's Massive Blender tutorial when he does texturing, when he unwraps something, I can't even tell what I'm looking at, and yet he can color it in perfectly, knowing exactly what everything is and where it goes. I just have trouble with that. I don't know where that comes from. So I'm going to texture just a couple things here. Going to try and texture this building a bit. Definitely texture this one. We'll probably start with this one here. And then this back wall, I think, are going to be the important things to focus on in the tutorial today. I heard about a new place where Peter from Peter's Massive Blender tutorial is located, since I mentioned that he is no longer active on YouTube and won't reply to comments. I ended up finding out that yes, he did leave the channel, but he is still doing that type of work, and I was able to see some of the other things that he did. He's working on I think an iPhone app game that includes the characters from his tutorial, and many others. However, I feel though as if because he abandoned that YouTube channel, and stopped doing things on YouTube. I probably shouldn't disclose where he is now to avoid bugging him, because I'm sure that he had lots of questions that he just didn't have the time to answer. So I guess I'm saying that because I've known a lot of people on YouTube, not personally, but there's been a lot of people on YouTube that I've looked up towards, and I thought they were really amazing, and it's surprising how many of those people have had unfortunate things happen to them. So I was kind of happy to discover that that guy's working on some other stuff, and it's really cool. And so I'm going to go ahead and begin here. While I was off camera and taking a bit of a break, I went ahead on that CC search and found some other textures. I found this brick texture that I didn't mean to double click. I hope that's not popping up anywhere. I found this one that looks pretty interesting, a similar one to it. I found some roof tiles. I think I needed to find some red roof tiles actually. Maybe we can still do that, ignore that. Go back here and do red roof. No, let's just do roof tile texture. It doesn't specifically have to be red, in case something here is so fantastic I change my mind. And let's see, this one isn't so bad. The angle's a bit off. This one is kind of rusty, that might work. Even if it doesn't work, I feel like I should save it for future use. And because that CC search has given me a list of things that are free to use and free to edit, I'm going to also ignore that that is my collection of Sword Art Online pictures. People always want to collect things I never knew what to collect, and I found myself something to collect that makes me happy, which is pictures and images from animes that I like. And so far I only have two, Sword Art Online and Shingeki no Kyojin, or Attack on Titan. So yeah, that's my collection. So let's see, this goes in buildings. Got distracted. So because all of these images are free to use, free to edit and whatnot, royalty free, or there's another word for that. Anyway, you're allowed to use these. So if I find one that I like, I might want to use it in the future. This one looks tiled, which is really nice. You can kind of see how this one doesn't finish over here, but continues over there. So this looks like a really nice cartoony one that I might really love to use in my other project that I'm working on. Don't know why it feels like putting that in there. Didn't mean to click there. It's okay, because I'm lagging so bad anyway. Textures, buildings, save that there. Not worrying about naming it since you can look at thumbnails in Blender. Gonna go back. I think I hit back twice, which might be a problem. Still looking, still looking. Here's a wooden one that's kind of nice. I think these buildings here could use some of that if I choose to. It looks like there's not much resolution in the image though. It looks like it's pretty low detail. Oh, nope, it got much better. Oh man, this thing is massive. You can see the grain in the pieces of wood. That is pretty detailed. And so anyway, yeah, looking for tile texture, although that probably doesn't apply to you as much, since those weren't one of the three that I was going to show you in the tutorial. I don't see why people take pictures like this. I mean, usually a texture, I'm assuming, needs to be straight on, but okay, I guess. I guess some people have a use for it. So this would probably be a closer thing to use because it looks almost cartoony-like in a way that if I were looking at it from an angle, because when Ezio is going to be running across the roof, it's not going to be showing a top-down view of it. This looks like something that might be okay to look at from an angle, something that isn't so bad. So let's start with this building in here. What I can't do is hit the slash button on my numpad keys to go into local view, which will show me just the object that I have selected. And let's see, what am I gonna do here? I think I might ignore this door. Just leave that back in there. It has a material, right? Called just stone. So what I might do is I'm going to select all of these here. Or I'm going to go into my vertex select mode. Grab these, and these. And then do the same above that. I'm going to use this section that is simple to sort of test it. Oops, maybe I won't select them at the same time, but with these at the bottom, I'm going to hit not extrude. So is it Shift E, Control E? Yes, it is Control E, so mark seam. And then I will do the same on the top. So let's see, not M. So Control E, mark seam, and then I'm going to do one edge here, and Control E, mark seam. So now I'm going to take these rows of faces and hit U to, let's bring up the editor first and see what happens. Go away from that. Now if I hit unwrap, it's going to give me a line of faces like this. I'm going to open an image and go to my texture library, go to buildings, open up the thumbnail so I can choose. And I think I was going to give it this one actually because I thought it looked creative. And so what I can do is take the top row here and do G along the Y because there is no Z axis when you're looking at the image or the UV image editor over here. There is no Z axis at all. So what I'm worried about here is that these sections are going to look funny. See, my camera's still looking at it, so let's just go ahead and figure out what it's going to look like. I'm worried because this image is going to be wrapped around the whole side, whereas I thought about possibly tiling it. But we will see how that comes into play right now. See if it looks funny and figure out what we need to do. Although I didn't apply the texture to the image, so right now I'm just looking at a picture off to the side. Let's see, open up the image over here, or the textures, Imager movie, open the image, there's a recent place, buildings, take the textures, and I chose this one. Yes, I think I should have chose the other one. But yeah, choose this image, stop doing that. Select, open image. And then go to generated UV. Another thing that we can do is switch it to something like, see, I believe it is I think we leave it on generated and change this flat to a cube, and then we can just tell it to tile everything, so you can kind of see that that's pretty massive like I was talking about. I wonder if I can tell it to tile it as it is. I seem to be locking up now, which if that's what's going to happen, I'm sure that this isn't coming back now, which is unfortunate actually. Yep. Moving on to a new one. Now, if it's an okay thing to do to open up two blenders like that, people do it, but I probably don't recommend that you do that. I'm only doing it because I'm trying to record a tutorial. I'm trying to record a tutorial for you, and I know that nothing on my computer at all can close that blender except, oh, it came back. Look at that, you little troll. Now I have to wait for the other blender to start up to get it to get that one to go away. So yeah, that looks funny. I'm going to tell it to stop rendering, save my progress, go to this other blender that just opened up. It looks like it just adopted the other blender's not responding technique. It's getting there. Just gonna close like this. There you are. Go bye-bye. There you go. It went bye-bye. I'm gonna change this to generator real quick. Go to cube. So now this texture is going across the entire object, and changing it to cube lets it know that it's not trying to be on the top face, it's trying to be down along the sides. And if I go to image mapping, I'm going to do a 10 by 10. So that means, nope, I'm going to do a 1 by 10. So along the x-axis, it's going to maybe a 4. I think that means it'll go all the way around, and then 10 up and down. Let's see how that looks. Oi. Too much X. So perhaps it was supposed to be a 1. That's looking better. Look at that. That's pretty cool. Do you like that? I know that wasn't much texturing going on, but I think I like that. We move on to the next building then. Some of you might be looking at me thinking like, are you serious? I apologize. I'm scared of texturing. Put this UV image editor back up. Go away from that. I'm going to do the wall next in the background. And I'm going to select this face. Now I'm going to go to my vertex select, see if I can do a loop all the way around this. And I can't, so I have to do that manually. It shows a loop around the top here. Control E. Mark seam. Go from that side to this side. This view looks really cool. Look at that. I like how I can see the mountain right here. Control E, mark seam. And then Control E, mark seam. As far as the towers go, okay, I'm going to select this loop of faces. It doesn't want me to select. I'm going to select everything and try a smart unwrap and see what happens. Smart UV project. Okay. And you see, I don't know what this is. What is this massive one? And I mean, I know that I didn't set up the seams right, but I can't even find the parts that I did that do the seams. I mean, I think they're these, but oi, let's do a regular unwrap. No. So with my face selector, I'm going to grab this one, I'm lagging and I can't turn the screen. This one. And you'll notice that as you select them, they will highlight over here after you have unwrapped it. That seems helpful sometimes, but it's not quite helpful. So I've got these at the bottom now. I'm going to open an image. And I'm beginning to wonder if I can unwrap things in pieces, like instead of unwrapping it all at once, can I unwrap a different part to add to the previous unwrapping? If that's so, my problems might be solved. I think I was going to go with this texture, or... yeah, it was this one. And so this has a material, so I can go ahead and add in image or movie. Open, texture, library, buildings, thumbnails. This one, open. And then change generated to UV. So now we can kind of get an idea of what's going on here. I'm actually going to hit U while all four of those are selected and hit reset. That will make every single face take up the entirety of this image. I learned how to do that back in my Minecraft stuff. And I think if you take vertices and bring them outside of the image, I think that will cause it to repeat itself. So I might just do that and go ahead and see if that worked, because we need like tessellation along those big walls, but not exactly in some other parts, because you can kind of see this is getting really distorted. It looks like it went all the way up the wall. Gonna do some editing while I know what went wrong. Going to bring that up just a bit more. Say it gets tiled like 4 times. And then I'm going to have it tile in this direction. And you know, I'm just kind of guesstimating here on the proportions. And look at that, it is apparent that I don't know what I'm doing. Nah, I see what's going on. These bricks here are still being elongated too much, because I need to bring it out along the X just a bit more. Actually, probably like double what I already have. So I'm going to zoom way out, G, X, pull it way out, and even bring these up again. Or wait, no, because this image is, or the wall, never mind. Taking the wall up anyway, not as much though. Try it one more time. And that's starting to look better. Even just bringing it along the X just a little bit more. Those are some pretty long walls, I guess. Now, as good as it seems like it's working, I've only done those inside walls. So I'm a tad worried. Avast, go away. I mentioned the word worry, and Avast is like, oh, you called? I'm gonna go ahead and save this. So my other worry is that this texture isn't being applied to these towers on the side either. And I made this in such a funny way that it's going to be complicated to do that. What I might do is hit P, separate by selection. So now that is a separate object. And if I select the rest of this object, I can give it that same texture and cheat again. Do generated cube, and see X do like 30 and Y do 10. And I think I will leave it at that for now. As you can see, I have failed you at teaching you how to texture things, so I highly recommend that you look at some other textures, or not textures, but other texturing tutorials. I think this would be a good time for me to switch over from explaining what I wanted to explain to you, which is how to texture things. See, here's my stone texture. So instead of trying to teach you the wrong things to do, which I guess I kind of have to own up to what I'm saying here, instead of teaching you the wrong way to texture things, I should encourage you to look at some other tutorials that will teach you how to correctly texture some things. As far as where to go to find other stuff, YouTube is often a good place to start if you are looking for something quick to do. Just like a quick, like, how do I do this? And if it sounds like it's a simple question, not like mine talking about why shape keys don't influence all the way after rigging with a certain add-on of Rigify. I mean, things that are super specific like that you probably can't find on YouTube. But if you're looking for a simple thing, it's best to start with YouTube. Let's do 5 and 10. Let's try that. Don't think I've ever tried a tube projection. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and render this. And so, like I'm telling you, if you are looking for stuff or help with Blender, you can try YouTube, or you can go to the Blender artist forums, which I am already looking at a response to some help that I was giving someone who's making a pretty nice looking mesh here of a character. He's been helping me out a lot with some other things. Just I'll bring up a new window of this because I still need to respond to what he said. So if I go to a new tab yet again, and I open up the Blender Artist community, there is a forum called the Blender Artists. You can kind of find it by looking up Blender Artists on Google, or you can find it through the CG Cookie website. Speaking of tutorials, CG Cookie is amazing for that. But when you sign up for the forums, you have many different things that you can do, and people always ask questions and answer with really good attitudes. It's a really fun place to be. I spend quite a bit of time here, and there's a new weekly challenge. Oh no, the voting is open. I know who I wanted to vote for, so I can go ahead and do that. I haven't joined a weekly challenge in a week or two. They're good to do. They help you practice a whole lot. I believe the thing was, I used that, but it gave me an error for some reason. Okay. So I was looking, or the theme was Ghost Ship, and I liked this one here. This one was pretty funny. And people just enter things, and yeah. So as much as I love this one, that Pac-Man's really great. I think I'm gonna vote for this one because it's just adorable, and I'm a huge sucker for adorable things. So I believe this is Mick1190. Go up here and vote for Mick1190. And so on to telling you about CG Cookie for tutorials. Oh, looks like the Pac-Man guy's winning. Go to CG Cookie, and on this site, CG Cookie, meaning computer generated image, but just as a cookie for, sweet stuff to hand out to people. I can look at all the tutorials on here because I am a citizen member, but there are lots of free stuff as well. They have tutorials for many different things: Blender, 3ds Max, Unity. It's just full of education. They telling you about sketching stuff. I'm a little new to this new homepage that they have, but they have stuff for all sorts of different programs. Blender is one of the main focuses, and a lot of cool things here, and just loads and loads and loads of tutorials. If I go to Blender Cookie here, or maybe not. Sometimes, like, I don't know how I got to it earlier, but if I go to this other tab that I have, I can look on tutorials, and they have all these sorts of different tutorials, and there's just pages and pages and pages of tutorials on it. They have courses of just like full lengths of series of how to make stuff. You have articles to read, free stuff, resources, tools and shops and DVDs, and it's one of my favorite places actually. This is a tutorial that I'm wanting to go through later, as well as I was telling some people about that, as a face rig for one of my other characters, and modeling a sci-fi vehicle, which I'm definitely going to need later. So anyway, I wouldn't want to tell you how to do the wrong textures, but you can kind of see, without my UV mapping, I've done a decent job here. For example's sake, I do highly encourage that you go look at some other tutorials. Wondering about the, see if I change this to say 2, see how that changes things. So, yeah, I thank you for putting up with my lack of knowledge when it comes to texturing, and I hope that you can understand that I've tried my best, and I just don't want to steer anybody in the wrong direction. So, as far as what we will do next, I think what there is to do is just go ahead and move on to the animation section of creating our scene and setting up the camera where we want it, and making a little movie. Just going to change this to 3. Go ahead and save. And so yeah, I'll see you in the next part.